What up, boys, and welcome back to another video. So as you guys have heard by now, I've made gold cap with Transmog Only. That was my last challenge that I just completed. So it took me exactly 4 months to get from 0 gold to 10 million gold selling Transmog Only. And I did farm other stuff too, but I only kept all the transmog on one tune and tried to reach 10 million. So the difficult thing was to kind of get a kickstart to build up the auction house, get a decent auction house going, and on top of that, the definitely toughest thing was to repost and check for undercuts often. That's always been my weak side. I don't have that many hours per day to play, so if I could have reposted on the auction house more, I would have hit the 10 million gold way faster. I also slowed it down the last month because I'm in the middle of the stockpiling for BFA challenge. But enough of that. Like, how did I do it? How did I go from 0 gold to 10 million gold selling Transmog Only? I wanted to do this challenge because it was the challenge that most of you guys voted for me to do, because a lot of people find it hard to make gold on Transmog. There's so many people daily telling me, like, Studen, my Transmog doesn't sell, Transmog doesn't work in my realm, and so on and so on. So yeah, 10 million gold, 4 months. I wouldn't say that it's hard, but it's like, the thing you got to realize about transmog is the hard part is not obtaining the transmog. As you guys have probably noticed, it's not hard getting the transmog items to drop. It is hard to get them to sell. It's always that way. Super easy to get, really hard to sell. So the key of making a lot of gold with transmog is to have like a big variety, right? Because let's say that you have this one item on you, and then that one item will sell has a sell rate of 0.02, right? So that item alone is going to take you a long time to sell. But if you have 100 items with a sell rate of 0.02, you should sell one, right? Fairly quickly. So you got to think like that. You need to have, depending on realm, of course, like if you play on a high pop realm, I started to get like frequent good sales around 750 auctions, and that is when my auctions are the cheapest ones available. If you just log on, repost 1,000 items on the auction house, and then you don't really do anything else that day, you come back tomorrow, you're not going to get that many sales. You need to post them on the auction house, and then you need to wait a few hours, you need to go back on the auction house, scan for undercuts, or just do like a cancel all and repost. And it's really important to repost during prime time. It takes a long time. I know, like, the more people playing, the more people sitting on the auction house, the longer it takes to scan through the auction house and repost. But it's also the period where most people do repost, right? So you're most likely to be undercutted when the auction house is at its slowest. So really important to do undercut scans and cancel scans. That's how you make the gold. So really, you just want to get like a bunch of transmog items, different transmog items. There's no use in having 70 first mate hats on the auction house, right? You want to have a big variety, and you want to restock. You constantly need to restock. You need to follow the trends. So it's kind of easy for me because I do like a weekly clean out. So I kind of notice which items I've sold. And I also have a notepad that I write down like the extremely important items that I farm. Generally, like items that it's not hard to get them. Like, they're super easy to go and get them, even solo. And they sell for a lot of gold. They sell super slowly. So as soon as those sell, you want to be able to have like a backup to put on the auction house for potential sale again. So we're going to go through the method that I used. I've already explained the method that I was going to do in this challenge, and I've stuck with it the entire time. But I'm going to go through it again. It's really simple. If you guys take a look at this image right here, it says farm to begin with. That is BRD, Sulfuric, Whaling Caverns, and RFK. Those dungeons, super easy to run. You can do them solo, and they drop a big variety, like BRD and Sulfuric especially, right? Those dungeons have a massive loot table. Doesn't matter if an item goes on the auction house for 200 gold. A lot of people seem to think that I have like a threshold. Let's say that I only post items over 1,000 gold, but I don't. I made a video on it. This called what to put on the auction house, Studen Albatroz. And I explained that if you have an item worth like 1,000 gold, but it only has a 0.01 sell rate, That is way worse than putting up 5 items on the auction house worth 200 gold and the sell rate is 0.03, right? So I post items on the auction house even if they're 150 gold if the sell rate is really, really good. So you got to take a look at the sell rate and the value and figure out like the sweet spot on if you want to take the item on the auction house or not. So moving down, we have 5 mans. I have the luxury of finding 5 people or 4 people to farm with quite easily because every time I play, I do live stream it at Twitch. So there's like a lot of people that I can just grab into my 4-man group and I always get them filled. It can be more difficult for you guys. Luckily, there's a lot of people these days that are hosting farms, and there's like over 7,000 people on my Discord that's linked down below that is constantly looking for people to farm with. So try those channels to get like 5-man groups because 5-mans is by far the best way of getting transfer items to fill up the auction house. You have Seletos and Sulfuric dropping almost the same items. Seletos even drops a few items that Sulfuric doesn't. And Seletos will give you like 5 times as many items as you would get like an hour alone in Sulfuric. So Saltstone Cave, extremely good. Seletos, Windshare Mine, and you have Island of Thunder. STV Legacy items is basically just all the items that was brought back into the game in 7.3.5, like the Korg Bats and the Gut Renders and so on. They sell fairly well. And then you have Northwatch Hold. Those are like the 5-mans that I focus the most on because they have a high sell rate, a really high sell rate. That's what kind of is the big difference between BRD, Sulfuric, and Wailing Caverns and RFK. Like Wailing Caverns and RFK, the loot table is not that big on those dungeons, but the sell rate on some of those items are in between like some of the best in the game when it comes to transmog items. You have like the Ceremonial and the Grizzly from Wailing Caverns. That is absolutely insane. So after 5-mans, after doing those 5-mans and the dungeons listed above, yeah, I moved over to like Uldaman, RFD, even Nomer and Shadowfy. And the reason why you want to wait with those dungeons is because the loot table is not that good. There's a lot of items dropping, but there's not a lot of good items dropping. You got to be extremely lucky to get one of those big ticket items, and if you do get those, you're going to make a lot of gold. But you will definitely make more gold just like selling a bunch of minor transmog items. So as soon as you have like a lot of the items from BRD, Sulfuric, Wailing Caverns, and RFK, you should move over to doing like some of the more high-end transmog farms, but you should not do it unless your auction house is already stable. And I would actually do the dungeons like BRD, Sulfuric, and all of those, and then move over to crafting before I did Uldaman and so on, because crafting is going to get you a lot more sales than and a lot more gold than running Uldaman and RFD. So when it comes to crafting, I'm going to make like a separate video because I wanted to talk to you guys about like which items I got, like which plants I focus most on, which items made me the most gold, which items you should farm mats for, which you should just buy on the auction house. There's a lot of stuff when it comes to crafting, and I was fairly new to crafting. I didn't really start to craft before I started this challenge, and I have like a big variety of different patterns and plants, and I'm making right now making the majority of my gold on crafting. So I want to make a separate video on that. But using these simple farms, like just always having the stock from these farms right here and always like recrafting items that I've sold is how I made 10 million gold in 4 months. It's super, super easy. The only thing you got to do is do these farms. I know it can be hard. Like it's easy for me to just say do these farms because some of them, well, a lot of them are 5-mans. But if you can't do those 5-mans, just focus more on the RNG farms, the Uldaman, the RFD, the Nomer, until you can get a 5-man. And focus a lot on crafting too. Crafting is so good. Basically what I do, I'm gonna tell you guys until I make the video about it, but you just go on to T7, crafting, you just sort it by whichever tune you're on, like blacksmithing, and then you go to profit. And you can legit just craft every single item that will give you a profit. Doesn't matter if it's 300 gold profit, right? Because the item might have a super good sell rate, like one of these, like 0.03, really good. Only 354 gold profit if I buy the materials, but they sell so fast, right? So that's how I do crafting. However, there is some items like these that you do want to get because they tend to sell and they sell for a lot of gold, and you can make like tens of thousands of gold of profit even if you buy the materials. So that is pretty much it. I've already explained a lot of this before I started the challenge, but this was kind of like to sum it all up on how I did to get 10 million gold on Transmog Only in 4 months. Just farm, 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 and the most important part, do your undercuts. Like, do not slack. Do not post once per day or once per 48 hours. You're not going to make gold, especially not in a high or medium pop realm. You got to do undercuts as often as you can, and the best way, if you can, is to have 2 accounts, and while you farm, you have a tune on the auction house that constantly runs undercuts, like scans. I don't even have that. I do have 2 accounts. I just I'm a farmer. Like, I enjoy farming gold way more than I do spending the time on the auction house. I don't need gold. I just farm it because it's fun. So I haven't really bothered on like activating the second account and scanning the auction house on it. But yeah, that's it. There's probably going to be a lot of questions on realms and like which class and all of that. But if you guys got any questions whatsoever, leave them down in the comment section, and I will do my absolutely best to answer like every single one of them. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video and you're excited for more videos, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all in the next one. Until then, bye bye.